Hi, how are you doing today? Is there any help you need that I can acquire you with? Did you find everything okay today? These are the frequent questions asked at a retail store when you walk in or when you're about to purchase your items. It's when you get asked by the employee to see how they purchase went by. And I worked at a retail store for a year and 2 months, and one of the requirements at the store was customer service, of course, because there wasn't a specified customer service desk that you can go to for returns, exchanges, or questions, or anything you can ask specifically. It was all the cashier's job to do like everything at once. And during that time, I tried to do the best customer service I could, but there were some problems that you just couldn't help them with, such as a return policy. Because return policy, it was Sears. Our return policy there went from 90 days and it shrunk down to 30 days. So that was a huge complaint from the customers. It was like the main complaint they came into the store for. And everyone goes to the stores, you shop, whether it's clothes, groceries, etc., whatever you need. You walk and you always at some point seek help from an employee. But what is the customer's reaction when the employee is not able to help you with your problem? So the most common issue, as I said, are the complaints from the return policy, which is stated at the bottom of the receipt. Somehow the majority of the people though when they get their receipt, they just look to verify if when you purchase the item, they just check to verify if the prices are correct, but they don't bother to look at the bottom to see the extra details, or they don't bother to ask you, oh, what's the return policy or anything. So they just take it with them, they check the prices, they throw it away, or they just grab it and like roll it up in a ball, throw it away, and they don't even bother checking. Due to this, some customers tend to behave disrespectfully by breaking out with threats, creating physical reactions, and they make scenes. So today I want to bring your attention to the 3 most common customer service reactions acquired from a customer at a retail store due to the return policy. So most items that you purchase are, you're able to return them or go back for an exchange for a certain amount of time. And you can only return the item if it's not properly functioning, if you didn't like it, it's the color, size, or any of that. But it's only within the limit of time. So the most common effect is the disrespectful behavior and threats to an employee, when they have to inform the customer that unfortunately the 30 days has been over, and some customers don't tend to understand, and they just, okay, that's fine, they just leave, like it's all good. But the other majority of customers, they get a little disappointed and they get angered, and they tend to throw foul language, and they take out their anger on you, and they don't realize that it's not the cashier's fault, but it's like the corporate's, like it's not the cashier's making the rules or anything. So after various times of explaining the policy and that nothing can be done since your time is up already, a few customers are apprehensive. And then so I have a video I want to show you guys. It's kind of like a role play I did with my friend.
So it looks like you purchased a pair of boots and a dress, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, let me just go ahead and verify the items real quick. Okay, so let me just check from your receipt. Oh, ma'am, we have a 30-day policy, and unfortunately it's been past the 30 days. You purchased this back in January, and you're currently in March. I'm sorry, but there's nothing we can do about it.
This is ridiculous. I was never told about this. The cashier never told me this. I have to exchange. I even have the tag. Look.
Yes, I see that, ma'am, but the return policy is stated at the bottom of our receipt right here. So, honestly, like, there's nothing we can really do. After the 30 days, we're not able to return exempt items or, let you exchange or anything.
This is BS. You're no help. Why are you even working here? Can I speak to the manager? I am all about this. This service is horrible. Can I have his number too?
Okay, so according to the American Customer Satisfaction Index, Sears ranks second worst department store for customer services. And from this, some who don't understand and are angry begin to yell and threaten you. The next step that they do, sometimes they don't go straight into the threatening and stuff. What they do is they go into physical altercations. Rather than yelling at customers, they might react physically to an employee. And for that, I have a personal story I'd like to say. For example, when I was at work one day, I had a customer who was waiting in line. He was in line, according to him. He wanted to return some items that he didn't like. And my line was opposite side of me. So say I was facing this way because the register's on that side and the line was over there. So the guy was standing behind the lady that I was with, and I asked him various times, "Sir, are you in line?" But he chose to ignore me. So I was like, the line's gonna be on that side, and there was already a big line. So what he decided to do was it was a belt, a Levi belt he was carrying, and he's like, "I don't want this," and he slammed it and like almost hit me. So that's one situation I was in where he like physically, instead of yelling or whatever, he's like, he just said, "I don't want this," and he slammed it like in my face. And I also had this one lady too, where because I wasn't able to accept her items until it was past the 30 days, she chose to yank the receipt out of my hand and she ended up scratching me. And then she later called in to tell my manager that I had given her bad customer service, but I described to her about the policy, and she's the one who physically hurt me, and I didn't even do anything to her. I just explained to her. And then the last reaction that customers may do are making a scene. So when the customer is angry and you can't do anything about their items, they decide to release they might decide to release their anger, turn around and just tell the people behind them, "Oh, this is bad, this store is really bad, make sure you check the policy," or make sure, like, they just start throwing shade at you or at the store in general. And then what they do is they go online, because we have feedback on the bottom of the receipt. They also go online and they just write bad about you when it might not even be the employee's fault, but they still choose to do so. So for that one, I just want to show you guys an example of a feedback that I have. So this right here, the one that has all the names right here, it's just the names of these are the employees, the customers, and there's like ratings. And right here is where they choose to write about like their experience. And then there was this one experience where a lady's talking about the bad service there. And then that's where she says, "So no way am I coming back to the store, neither are my family or friends." So that's another way that they choose to like expose the store and like how their experience was bad. But truly, I believe that it's not the employee's fault, but most customers choose to blame them. So I feel like it's an important thing to think about when you walk into a store, to just like keep in mind that it may not be the employee's fault. You should always check your receipt. You can always call ahead of time and ask, and rather than come and make a big scene where you can embarrass yourself, because it's pretty embarrassing yelling at people just staring at you like you're crazy and everything. So just keep in mind that the employees are not the ones who make the rules. You shouldn't be taking out the anger you have towards them or anything.
So Jake, share with us your thoughts, please.
Sorry. With the note cards, it almost seemed like you weren't reading off of them the whole time. So it seems like whenever you were talking, you were actually just talking what came up through your head, or you were improvising it. So it kind of made it sound like you weren't actually doing a speech, like you're just kind of talking to someone. The whole thing was fast, it sounded fast paced, and you didn't pause at all. So it kind of just made it sound like you wanted to get it over with. But there was no transitions whatsoever, so it was hard to tell what part you were talking on, but I did like the visual with the feedback, and so it does show like how it does happen and what they do right and how angry they would get. So I think like, but when you did go with the note cards, you sounded kind of like a robot. So it didn't sound like there was no really emotion, because it was probably because you were talking too fast and you weren't pausing at all. So that's the only tips I can give this way, I think.
All right. Well, most of that's about delivery. There were a couple of things about the structural things. I'm going to agree with a couple of things he said, but I didn't have a big problem with your sounding robotic. I didn't think that was a big idea or a big problem. In fact, I thought that you did a nice job speaking to the audience when he said you're not reading off of the cards a lot. I appreciated that. I hate it when people just read to me, and it's bad enough when you're being read to and people read and they don't have any variation in their voice. It's as if they are just reading the words slowly one by one and there's no meaning behind all of those. You were not doing that, so that's good. And I don't have a problem with that. But I would agree that there's not, the weakest part of the speech, I think, is the organizational issues and the transitions between those points. At the beginning of the speech, you said that you're going to tell us about the 3 most typical customer service kinds of problems. And I didn't really hear those being described and defined in different spots. I assume that it's about the visualization that you have. They all seem to be connected to the same policy, which is the return policy. I didn't hear anything that dealt with anything other than the return policy. So I'm not sure what the distinguishing characteristics are of those other elements that you're talking about. What are those other points? In terms of research, there's also, I think, a little bit of a problem. I did appreciate that you had some information about Sears ranking in the customer service category. I just saw a story the other day that Sears is going to hell in a handbasket. They're about to disappear, basically, as a retailer for a variety of reasons, and maybe one of the reasons is customer service issues because of this. So I think you needed a little bit more content there. But on the other hand, I thought you visualized the ideas pretty well. The idea of doing the simulation, kind of the role-playing thing on the video, I thought that was kind of fun. That's an interesting way of doing it. You don't have to ask for a volunteer to role-play for you. You get it done ahead of time. It's integrated into your speech at the appropriate time. You had a little bit of trouble getting it set up and going, but that was not a big deal. It's just a awkwardness. That's something that practice would take care of if you were giving this presentation in multiple situations or circumstances. The evaluations that you had at the end, though, the 3 pictures there, I could not see almost anything on those things. I could see that there was a long comment on the one thing that you referred to. I could see the columns of names, but I couldn't tell if there's a rating or if there was some scoring or there's evaluations going on there. So it was just hard to figure out what is in the information that you're showing us. So that didn't help that much. Even though you've got something to show us, it's supposed to help us see and understand something, but if we can't make it out, it's not adding as much as it needs to. But like I said, I appreciated the video as an attempt to kind of do something creative with the problem that you were talking about. And the thing that goes the best for your speech is that you do a nice job of describing your own experiences and talking about these kinds of things and relating it to here's something that's going on that illustrates these points without the speech just being about here are the 3 things that piss me off the most about customers, the dumbass things that customers do that I think are a problem. You kind of really tried to make it into a speech, and I appreciated that a lot. All right, thank you.